What up? What's going on, family and friends, everyone out there in podcast land? My name is Dave Smith. Yes, that's DAYSMI to the double F. You know the rest. And this is Tough Conversations Podcast, the podcast where me and my guests discuss tough topics from different points of view to understand the issues at large. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And you can follow us on Instagram at ToughTalk_PDT. That is ToughTalk_PDT. To interact with us in our weekly polls and to get more information about the guests that I'll have on and the new episodes that'll be dropping throughout the season. Listen, you already know what it is. We back with another episode 8. It's been a minute. I've been going on hiatus for like 3 weeks, but I am so glad and blessed to be back on the Tough Conversations and be with the Tough Conversation family, man. How y'all feeling? How is y'all feeling? How are y'all feeling? We're going to bring this back with some good verbiage. But man, super glad to be back in the studio recording this 8th episode of Tough Conversations Podcast. Cannot wait to get into our topic for today. Today is actually the day that I'm recording this is May 14th, 2023. So Mother's Day. And I'm recording this episode at 9:29 at night. So while some of y'all might be sleeping or what have you, I'm up making this good content, hopefully to bring some enlightenment to what is going on in the topic of the day. I got a early morning gym session tomorrow, so I know I'm gonna be definitely dog tired, but I'm gonna still make it in anyways because the brother just got to. But I do want to say that I missed y'all. Thank y'all for checking out the podcast. Thank y'all for coming back to the podcast. Thank y'all so much for y'all continued support, even when I was on hiatus for a minute, just gone and doing the various things that I needed to do. But now that I'm back, trying to close out this episode because we only got 2 more episodes after this episode to close out season 1, and I have 2 guests coming on who were already on previously in the early part of the season, and they'll be coming back to discuss my last 2 topics that I want to close out on concerning the series that I've been doing, which is What About Us, the Problems Within. And so to tap into that today's episode, I'll be discussing pride and arrogance as it relates to the series What About Us, the Problems Within. So sit tight, get ready for a great episode, and man, put your thinking caps on because we're gonna dive into some deep stuff, some things that people may not even like really think about when it comes to pride and arrogance. But I do want y'all to take heed of what's going on in this episode, or what I'm going to say in this episode, and also look forward to the next 2 episodes where the 2 guests that I'll have on. I'm not going to tell y'all which guests I'm going to have on, but you'll see for yourself. The 2 guests that I'm going to have back on, the conversation that we're going to be discussing as it relates to What About Us, the Problems Within, and how that relates to just what we need to do to better ourselves. And I say we because I'm a part of that. I'm a part of the collective of people who need to better ourselves. We better ourselves every day. So as we're not taking strides to better ourselves every day, then what is we doing? What were we doing? So, but as I always like to do, before we get into the topic of the day, I always like to get into the post of the week. And if it's your first time joining the show, and you don't know what the post of the week is, the post of the week is just a post that I find on social media, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, whatever the case may be. 9 times out of 10, a lot of the posts that I get these ideas from are from Facebook, because I see just a lot of controversy that goes on in Facebook. But I grab a post from there, from one of those social media sites, and I bring it to you guys and try to get y'all opinion. I give my own opinion or synopsis on it, but I really want to get everybody else, the listeners, involved. And so don't be afraid. As I always say, at the beginning, I put out the Instagram and all that jazz. So please hit me up on the Instagram DMs, hit me up on the post. When y'all see me post the post of the week or what have you. And let me know what y'all think. If you're really listening to the podcast and you're really tuning in, let me know what you think of the post of the week. And let me know how you feel about the post of the week. And just your ideas or your commentary about it. So with that being said, this post of the week is actually not really a post, but it's actually a PSA that I really want to, or not really a PSA, but it's something I felt necessary to talk about because I was looking at somebody, I was looking at someone's commentary about just social media as a whole and how people put their business on social media. And so I had just took a little note and I wrote down, I wrote down pretty much that, people need to stop putting everything on social media. Then people won't feel like they know you. And so that's really just the overall subject line over the post of the week, I guess, is, when people put too much of their life on social media. And that can be looked at in several ways. I know social media is for us to gather virtually and for us to see one another, see our friends, see what they're doing, keep up with people in their life and things of that nature. But sometimes too much is really just too much. And you have to have some type of boundary when it comes to that stuff. It's certain things that I just won't post on my personal social media. And a while ago, I actually did myself the favor of deleting a lot of stuff from my younger years that I had on my social media, especially my Facebook, because I've had my Facebook for quite some time. I did myself the favor of deleting a lot of that stuff because it was just, number one, too much. A lot of stuff that I said back in the day was just too much. Too much. It was dumb, poorly written. And I was just like, yeah, I need to get rid of this. But also, I pride myself on not putting too much information on social media when it concerns my life or the things that I have going on. I may post little accomplishments here and there when something seemingly big happens in my life, maybe. But as far as anything else, I always make the joke of saying, people think that, if people didn't know better and know me for real on social media, they'll think that I was broke. I ride the bus every day. I don't work, and that I'm just this dude who puts on this army uniform from time to time. That's all they would really know about me because that's really all that's on my social media. I got my military pictures on there and I post a few every once in a while when I take a decent one, which is really not that often. And I may post like I said, little small accomplishments that I make, but for the most part, it's either me posting my thoughts concerning a subject, or resharing a post that I see or something like that. But other than that, I don't post when I'm going on vacation. I don't post when I'm going out of town. I don't post when, just really personal things. I don't post the car I drive or things of that nature. I don't feel the need to do that for a lot of reasons. As I got older, I realized just how meaningless that stuff was to be posting. And also, I went through experiences of feeling like people was watching my social media. So I just stopped doing that altogether. Posting my car, posting where I'm at, and posting when I'm on vacation and things of that nature. Because if people haven't noticed, if you really haven't noticed, the world is not getting any safer. The world is getting crazier and crazier every day. And you have to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself every day at all costs. And part of that is making sure that you're being aware of the things that you post on social media, where you're going, who you with, what time you're going, why you're going, things of that nature. You have to be careful about when you post that stuff because you don't know who's watching. As much as you feel like you may know all your friends on Facebook, you met this person one time through passing and things of that nature. I posted on my social media a long time ago or a couple months ago and said, if I don't know you personally, I do not answer your friend request. Like, unless I've met you on several occasions outside of social media, I don't add you because I don't know you. And there's no reason for us to be following each other if you if I don't know you. Like, especially like when it comes to like, and I'm just throwing this out there. Like, sometimes I do get random like females that'll send me friend requests. And once again, this is not me trying to big myself up. None of that. Like, this is pay attention to what I'm saying. And I was caught in that type of stuff at one point in time. Like, oh, let me follow this chick because she look cute and this, and the third. But I don't like. I stopped doing that a long time ago, and it just like it doesn't help you because number one, you don't know this person for real. You don't even know if this is truly a female behind this page. I see a lot of like fake female pages and stuff like that, and then like there's only one picture of the person, and that's it. And like you look at the people that you may know, you don't have no people from this person that's like mutual friends and none of that. Like, but they add you. So not to spend too much time on that topic, but just be careful what you posting on social media and stop posting all your business on social media. Stop posting the drama that like you going through. Stop posting every situation that you find yourself in. Like, I get it, we all need encouragement from some people, but sometimes some things are just meant to be kept in your close friend group, your close relative group, things of that nature. A lot of people don't realize that they seek the approval of social media on a lot of their like things, but will swear up and down that they're not posting these things for social media approval. But then it's like, why tell these people who may or may not know you your business? Like, it really serves no purpose. So my all in all point in saying that is be careful when you posting things on social media because you don't know who's paying attention to it, and be smart about what you post. Be smart about what you post, and like if you don't like have to double think about it and have to like procrastinate about it, you probably shouldn't post it. I know it sounds cliche, but it's the truth, man. Like, seriously. So, although that wasn't a post, that's my PSA of the week. So, take that as you want it. Hopefully, it's some good food for you to chew on throughout this week, and just really consider about the things that maybe you or somebody that you're close to post on social media. I can get into all the details about, people post this type of stuff on social media, yada, 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 but all in all, y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, this type of stuff that technically you shouldn't be posting on social media, but you do it anyways because you feel like whatever. Like, if we ever gonna do better as a society, we have to check ourselves first, and not get offended when other people check us or tell us like, hey man, you think that's really a good idea for you to do? Because I mean, you low key know it's not. So but yeah, that was the PSA / post of the week. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Once again, post of the week is always a fun time, and we do it on every single episode of Tough Conversations podcast. So tune in next week to see what the next post of the week is going to be. And don't forget to hit me up on Tough Talk _PDT on Instagram to let me know how you felt about the post of the week. I know I spent a little bit more time than I usually like to on that, but it's my show. I get to do what I want to do. So getting into the topic of the day, or the night, as I said before, because it is definitely late at night. Catch me in it. No, it's definitely at night when I'm like sitting here recording this. Before I go any further, I just want to say I deeply regret the fact that I did not get a chance to do the Mother's Day episode that I wanted to do this year. I had a lot of ambition to do a lot of things this first season. I think I overwhelmed myself too much, not realizing how my schedule was. So next year, I truly really want to be able to sit down and do a Mother's Day episode with the mothers that I know, and do a Father's Day episode, because Unfortunately, I won't be able to do a Mother's Day or Father's Day episode this year, or I wasn't able to do a Mother's Day episode this year, and I won't be able to do a Father's Day episode this year because things in my schedule just conflicted, and I just am not able to do that. But next year, I look forward to doing it, getting the mothers and fathers that I know on this for a topic discussion about motherhood and about fatherhood. So please continue to stay tuned with me as I grow this podcast and as I continue to develop great ideas with the backing of the Lord. So that way I can continue to hopefully motivate and help everyone that is out there listening to improve wherever place that they are in their life right now. But once again, I do want to say to all the mothers on this special Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, whether you're grandma, auntie, whether you got 1 kid, 2 kids, 4 kids, 10 kids, God bless you. But happy Mother's Day. I want to say a special happy Mother's Day to all of the women who have helped me throughout my life. It's been times in my life where I definitely had more outside motherly help than inside motherly help. I don't really want to, talk too much on that, but I just want to say to all the mothers who have helped me throughout my life and who have poured into me, whether it was like feeding me, giving me clothes, giving me a place to stay at times, giving me just all the help from rides to school, just everything. Happy Mother's Day to y'all. I truly appreciate y'all. I am the man and becoming the man I am because of the things that you've done for me, and I can't do anything to repay you for it, but to just tell you that I am indebted to you and I appreciate you so very much. So to all the mothers, you know who you are, and if you're listening, or if you one of my bros, one of my friends who mother has definitely been a blessing to me in my life from my younger years all the way to now, please tell your mothers I said happy Mother's Day and I love them. So there's that. Once again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers across the world, all the great mothers across the world who take care of business, handle home, and many other things as well. Okay, now that we got that out the way, I do want to get into the topic of the day, which is pride and arrogance. This is a truly tough topic to talk about sometimes because it's a topic that and a subject that oftentimes we don't want to face because we feel like it doesn't apply to us. But if you don't feel like this topic applies to you, you're probably the very person who this topic applies to. So guess what? We're going to get into it. And if you don't want to get into it, I advise you to turn this off right now. Thank you for listening up to this part. But for the rest of us real ones who want to get some things in order, we're gonna keep discussing. So, once again, pride and arrogance. When I was thinking about this topic, I was just like, how do I fit in? And I always have a backstory for the stuff that I talk about on this podcast. But I was thinking about pride and arrogance this week because it's just like, it is one of those things that we try not to associate with ourselves because we feel like it doesn't apply to us, or it only applies to us sometimes. But sometimes pride and arrogance can apply to us in a like way deeper meaning in a way longer fashion. Like sometimes we can suffer from pride and arrogance and not even know it. So the first thing I like to do when we discussing topics like that is really get down to the root. Like, what does this mean? So the first thing we're going to talk about is pride. And you may ask, what is pride? And that's just the baseline question. But when you look at the dictionary thought behind, or the definition behind what pride is, it is a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievement, the achievement of those with whom one is closely associated with, or from qualities or possessions that are widely admired. So pretty much what that means is that when you have a superficial satisfaction in yourself, of the things that you have, the things that you've achieved, or the things that people have achieved from being either around you or like knowing you. So that's what pride is. And so when you take that and think about that, apply that to things in your life and how you go about things in your life and the attitude and posture that you have towards people in your life. And you'll understand whether or not if pridefulness is something that you struggle with. It's also the consciousness of one's own dignity. So once again, just that added definition to give more clarity as to what pride is. And if you suffer from pride, hey, it's all good. We all suffer through it. We all suffer from it, but we're going to get an understanding here today on Tough Conversations podcast. So pride is not necessarily a bad thing, but we can manipulate pride and make it bad. And so what do I mean by that? Like here I am discussing that it's a problem with having pride. But the thing is that when we have too much of something, it can always end up harming us. For instance, toothpaste is good for you. You know, you brush your teeth with it. You know, you brush your teeth with toothpaste, hopefully. And it helps keep your teeth clean, shiny, and all that. But if you swallow if you just so happen to swallow a little bit of toothpaste, no big deal. But did you know that if you over time continuously swallow large amounts of toothpaste, you can die? What? Yeah. And I know that's a weird analogy to use, but I was watching one of my favorite crime investigation shows, CSI Miami. I know, old school. Don't worry about that. And an episode like that had came up, and I was just thinking, like, man, we don't really think about that. Like, yo, you could really die from eating too much toothpaste, because it happened. Like on one of the episodes, a chick ended up doing that, and yeah, so that applies with pride. It's good to have pride in your work. It's good to have pride in things that you have as a hobby or that you're interested in. Maybe you're a painter and you take pride in your work as a painter, or maybe you record music. You take pride in recording your music, and that's fine. It's good to have a little pride in the things that you do, because it backs, and it's like the gear, the backing behind what you do and the passion. But when we have too much pride in the things that we do, we manipulate it and turn it into a bad thing. So like I said, having pride in your work or how you do things is great. But when our pride changes how we work in a negative manner, problems ensue. And so like for me, I take pride in, the work that I do every day by, getting people answers to the questions that they have at work, and, making things happen for them. And I take pride in that because, I got the job that I really wanted for a long time. And so I try to go above and beyond and help people. But if at some point I let pride get the best of me and I, use the ability that I have to be a blessing or a help to somebody else in a negative way, and I think, I'm just the man. I can do this all on my own, and I don't need a team of people to help me. Like, I don't need nobody. Like, I can just do this on my own. That's when pride just does too much. And a lot of us have been in that place where we feel like we don't need anybody else. Nobody else is close in stature to us, and we can just do everything on our own. Yeah, we the man. Pretty much, we all that in a bag of chips. And really, to bring it all down, you're not. Like, sorry, you didn't want to hear that on Tough Conversations podcast, but I don't know why you came here if you didn't want to hear that on Tough Conversations podcast. Sometimes you're not all that in a bag of chips. There you go. Take that and chew that. I think I can end the episode right there. But no, seriously, like, we have to use pride in moderation. And we have to utilize pride in a way that welcomes people into our space, that welcomes people to our personality, because we all know or have been that prideful person or know a prideful person who pushes away people with just their attitude. Like, you hate hearing the accomplishments that they made or the things that they do, because you just hear the pride, like just the over exaggeration of pride in their voice. And it's just like, yeah, great. But when we understand how pride can overstimulate people and we understand what pride is, we can better, assess situations. Once again, as I always say in the episodes, we are here. I got my notebook with me, so it's just my ideas rolling. It's just my ideas. So continue on with pride. And I was thinking about this. This week because I was watching. It just so happened that as I was thinking about doing pride and arrogance as a topic this week, during my studies of pride and arrogance, because yes, I don't just come with some hoopla or some just things from my behind. Like, I really try to sit back and do my research, because I don't want to lead anybody astray or give anybody any bad information. So I was watching the video, and this chick, of course I know, the word of God, and she was speaking about pride and arrogance. And I was like, bro, this is crazy how the Lord works. Like, man, I'm about to do this episode about pride and arrogance, and here this chick go speaking about pride and arrogance, and she used Bible. So guess what I'm about to do? I'm about to use Bible too, because why not? Why not? So she used a verse that I am quite familiar with, and if you're quite familiar with the Bible as well, then you know this verse as well, or these verses as well. But it's Proverbs chapter 16, verses 8 and 19. And it says that pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Better to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. And that right there was powerful. Yeah, I pulled the Bible out on that one. So it's legit. Proverbs chapter 16. Go read it. Go read all of it. But that's so true. Like, pride will be your destruction. Too much pride will be your destruction. And you'll know when people are about to self-destruct because of their pride, because of how much pride they have in a certain thing or in the wrong thing, and how that pride presents itself to other people. And a lot of people get humbled in the worst way when that pride doesn't allow them to humble themselves. That's why it just said that it's better to be of a humble spirit with the lowly, with the lowest of people, with the lowly people who just, who are like down to earth, the people who literally are just down to earth, than to divide the spoil or the treasures with the proud. It tell you right there in the word. So when you understand, once again, what pride is, what it does, and then you understand it from a biblical perspective. And I understand that maybe all of those who are, or most of those people who are listening, may not really be into the word of God, but I assure you that the word of God speaks so much truth to things that are going on in all of our lives. And just for this instance, specifically for this instance right now, you see how pride shows you the things in the spiritual realm as it does in the natural realm. And it shows you, and pride, and the word in Proverbs shows you what happens when too much pride overwhelms you, and what you have to look forward to when you allow yourself to be overwhelmed with too much pride. So, pride is easily obtained can be easily obtained in our character because we can often get lost in our own accomplishments and self-worth. And that's not to say that finding self-worth shouldn't be or should be condemned, but rather that when we overindulge in too much of those thoughts, we tend to develop this negatively prideful posture. We tend to develop this posture like I am God. I am the man. Like their universe literally revolves around me because I have this talent, or I have this gift, or I have this thing on my life to where like I'm just at this stature. But understand that you can be brought from that stature very, very quickly. You can be humbled. You can be sat down before your very eyes. Before you can get the next word out your mouth, you can be brought low. Where you felt like all those people who were lower than you and you were better than, like y'all remember greater than, less than, equal to? Yeah. While you thinking you greater than, you will be less than you were greater than. Once again, another thing for you to chew on, and let that reverberate in your spirit during the week. So when we allow pride and the overindulgence of pride to enter into our lives, we form this negatively prideful posture, and it makes us unattractive. It makes us seem like just hard to work with, hard to be around, and just like not anybody's go-to person. Because I can recall plenty of times where like I work with people who are like just overly prideful, and like they have to win an argument. They can't be wrong. And when you prove them wrong, their pride won't let them be wrong. And that stuff is nasty stuff, bro. Like when somebody just can't be wrong, they gotta be right. Like I find myself doing that at times, and I have to check myself like, man, I know, like I want to be corrected at times. Like I want to be corrected. Like I don't want to be dumb and then like somebody trying to help me on the small side of things get an understanding of things, and then I go embarrass myself out in front of a bunch of other people. Like help me get it together in this small group, because I don't want to embarrass myself out here on the big stage. So, but pride will take that from you. Pride will take the opportunity to learn lessons, to learn about life, to learn about the things of life and the facts of life, when you don't allow yourself to be decreased in pride at times. And when you don't let your pride cease. In my studies, I was reading this article from Dr. John Amadeo from psychologytoday.com. And I always use psychologytoday.com just because they always have interesting articles regarding basic topics that we really don't think apply to psychology, but it really does apply to the psychological thought process and the behavioral or the behavioral actions that follow those thoughts in people. So Dr. John Amadeo said that pride is actually driven by poor self-worth. So in all reality, pride, negatively used, is a compensator for areas in self that we lack. So pretty much like he said, it's a compensator. We utilize pride in reality for maybe things that we lack, or maybe areas in our life that we lack. His example is that we relish criticizing others as a defense against recognizing our own shortcomings. And like I said, we either have done that before in our life, or we know people who do that in their lives. And it makes it hard for them to be around, because that's the type of posture that they have. They are constantly demeaning or criticizing others, but you probably know the shortcomings that they have in their life, and you're just like, man, why are you like that? Yo, chick, why are you like that? Yo, bro, why are you like that? Like, it's crazy. But I love this quote from Dr. Amadeo because he points directly at, without sugarcoating it, he points directly at a lot of us, a lot of our prideful ways and a lot of our prideful habits and where they stem from. Poor self-worth or just the misreality of self-worth. You know, nobody's, like I said earlier, nobody's telling you that you shouldn't have self-worth, but or condemning you for having self-worth. But when your self-worth either is super low or way too high to where either you don't exist, and so you feel like you don't exist in the grand scheme of things, and so you have to belittle others to bring them a little low to where you are because you're so far down in the depths, or you're too high and you have to make sure that everybody else is lower than you, then it's a problem. It's a problem. And you can't think that good things are going to happen to you in this life when you allow pride to continuously push people and allow you to push people in a wrong way. And so that's pride. So then next, I want to speak about arrogance. And arrogance is defined as a personality trait that a person has an obnoxiously elevated sense of self-worth. So there's that word again, self-worth. Self-worth, and really self plays a huge part in all of this. That's why I love this series, The Problem Within. What about us? It's us. Us is the problem. Us is the problem. Arrogance, pride, all starts in self, because the way we perceive certain things, or the way we perceive certain dialogue or ways of going about things, our internalization of it is messing up self. And so once again, arrogance is defined as a personality trait that a person has an obnoxiously elevated sense of self-worth. So then this can be a killer to friendships and many other kinds of relationships. We all know friends that we had that, you know, you try to bypass their arrogance because for those people who look to find the good in others, you just like, man, you know, I know something more to this person than just the arrogance. Like, you see the arrogance because it's there. It's on the front. It's on the forefront. Like, you can't help but see it because they can't help but help you see it. Like, that's how it is. And so, but you still become friends with that person. You still try to be friends with that person. But at every turn, they make sure that you see their arrogance. It doesn't wear off. It's always around. It's always there. It's there. It's there. It's like you can't get away from it. And so that in the end, after you come to the realization that you're worth more than the arrogance that this person can give you, you leave that person. Maybe it be a friend or a significant other or whatever the case may be. And you move on. And that person will probably never realize that their arrogance is what killed your friendship or relationship. I often notice this trait in others, and I often feel sorry for them because they probably don't understand that this character trait of arrogance keeps them from building good relationships with people. Because somebody arrogant, they'll, depending on the situation and how much stake they hold over something, they'll keep you around, or you might try to forge a business relationship or something of that nature, networking and things like that, to, you know, keep things going. But at the end of the day, that can only last so long. And I truly do feel sorry for those people, because I've known people who just didn't know, like, bro, if you was to just not be so arrogant, I promise you will probably be like everybody. Like, not saying that you need to be everybody's friend, but you will really be a better person, because yeah, you smart. Yeah, you know, can do these things, and you gifted and talented. But the problem with you is that your arrogance supersedes all those things that you're talented and gifted at. And that's a wild thing when a thing that is very changeable inside of you overwhelms something that is God given in you, be it a talent or a gift or things of that nature. That skill that you may possess is overwhelmed by your arrogance. Something so changeable is overwhelmed by that. And so arrogance can even keep you from a relationship with God. As I was doing my study and research this week, I found, and actually I really just found this today when I was looking it up, is that in Philippians, yes, I'm going back to the Bible, y'all. In Philippians chapter 4, verses 12 through 13, it says that I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound in any circumstance. And I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. And I can do all things through him who strengthens me. And I know many people who have heard this Bible verse, and many people who have read this Bible verse and got it tattooed on them and all that. But context matters, because I love what it says here in verse 12, that I know how to be brought low and I know how to abound in every circumstance. I know I've learned to have plenty, and I know how it is to hunger. I know how it is to have much or abundance, and I know how it is to be in need. And arrogance will have you suffer way more than you need to when you don't understand that arrogance is what's keeping you from understanding what God has for you. And if you don't understand that arrogance is against the things that God has for you, you're not going to understand what it says in verse 13, that I can do all things to him who strengthens me. And so I'm not trying to have no Bible study, but if y'all want me to, we can. We can, because that literally signifies everything that I've been saying up to this point about arrogance. Arrogance will keep you from so much. You have to know how to be brought low. You have to know how to abound in any circumstance. You have to know what it's like to have plenty and to be hungry. You have to understand the you're not all that than a bag of chips. At times, there's a time for you to feel like you got it going on, but also don't feel like you got it going on so much to where you don't have it at all. Because you can have it all. You can feel like you have it going on, and then you can have nothing going on. And many of us know what that feels like, and we wonder why we have to feel that way. Well, here you go. Check your arrogance. Check your pride. Arrogance is not even an attractive trait or quality to possess. And in all honesty, many who have it aren't even aware they reflect arrogant qualities. A lot of people are not even understanding or cognizant of the fact that they possess arrogant qualities. And that's why it's up to us as a society and as a people. We love to tell each other all the craziest stuff, all the just off the wall stuff. Check somebody about their arrogance. I'm not saying you got to go up to, hey man, you don't no. It's a loving, caring, tactful way to go about addressing somebody and how they act and the way they go about things. One thing I've always been a big fan of is pulling people off to the side, because I'm a person, I have very, very bad social anxiety. And especially when it comes to people embarrassing me in public, because, and I'm just being real. Wow. All right. I'm just being real. When people embarrass me in public, I cannot stand that. And it's happened so much throughout my life that you would think that I'm used to it, but especially being in the military, because you got people who are going to embarrass you in front of any and everybody. And I laugh about that, but it is definitely something that Like, my social anxiety, like, is super overwhelmed by that type of stuff, and I can't stand when people embarrass themselves in public because I feel like it's a reflection of me and it ain't got nothing to do with me. But you have to be the type of person that pulls people to the side, especially if it's people that you know. Like, sometimes it's hard for us to tell people that we know certain things. And then it's sometimes easier for us to tell strangers because we feel like, man, I ain't gonna never see this person again, so I can just say what I got to say and keep it moving. But whichever struggle it is for you, put it like that. You have to be the one to say something and say it in a way to where they understand your point and not the way you're saying it. I spoke a while ago on a couple episodes about it's not about oftentimes what you're saying, but how you saying it. And then sometimes it is about what you're saying to people and not about how you said it. So keep that in mind. That's just a little tip, but I wanted to throw in there as it concerns this. Although it is hard to take constructive criticism from one person, and if multiple people present to you that you have arrogant ways, it may be time to look in the mirror and do some self-evaluating. Once again, right back to self-worth, and all those things. When it's time for that sit down and, you thinking about the fact that people say that you arrogant or just the way that you go about things is this, and the third. If too many people say it, it might be true, especially if they don't know each other. Like, if too many people tell you the same thing and they don't know you, then it might be time to take a look at self and figure out what's going on with self. Hey, self, what's wrong with us? Once again, what about us, the problem within? What's wrong with us? So be willing to do that self-evaluation and look at the man in the mirror, as Michael Jackson said. I struggled with arrogance at one point in time, and I felt like, at one point in time, I was just God's gift to the world. I was just on top of the world. I felt like I could treat others, and talk to them any kind of way. And yes, I'm being, once again, open about this and saying that, yeah, at one point in my life, I did feel like I was just better, like, especially when it came to, like, oh man, in some of my relationships and dating, bro, oh man, I was horrible. And I take zero pride in saying that. But I take full responsibility for being that. I was horrible. The way I went about things, you could tell, like, looking back on it and just thinking about, cause when you have to sit by yourself for a while and think about the things that you said and done, boy, let me tell you, that's a hard pill to swallow. That's a hard pill to deal with because you think about everything, especially when you have a clear conscience about, or when you're trying to clear your conscience from things, and some things just won't go away, like, easier than others. You have time to think about how you treated people, the way that you were towards people. And I had to sit back and really think about a lot of the things I've said to people, things I've said and done, and just the attitude and the way I was. And I was just like, bro, that's not even me. Like, I'm not better than this person, and this person didn't deserve for me to treat them like this. Why was I like that? But it's that great awakening in you to where so many people tell you, like, hey, check you about your attitude or how you go about things. And when you just have to, like, really go to God and be like, Lord, help me, because something ain't right in me and I need to understand what it is. So, like I said, I struggled with it for a long time. And at times I don't really say I struggle with it now, arrogance, because I am one of my best friends who I worked with for like 4 years. Like, he has really taught me the art of, like, being lowly, like taking zero credit, like, and not even like being an arrogant thing of like, oh, I don't want to take credit, or a prideful thing. I don't want to take credit. I don't feel like I'm do enough to take this credit, but just like being lowly. Like if if lowly was a person, it would be him, man, because that brother be on it. Shout out to my boy T Yang. Love that man. Um and so you have to struggle with you're going to struggle with this thing if you haven't already. And when you do struggle with pride, you have to be willing to once again take a look in the mirror and understand, like, the world does not revolve around you. You are not the only person that exists in this universe, and you may be good at something, but that doesn't mean that you get to treat people a certain type of way, a wrongful certain type of way, and that doesn't mean that you can talk to people a certain kind of way. And so that humbling will happen, and when it does happen, you just got to take it on the chin and do better. Because for me, in one way, fashion or another, I had to learn the hard way, which is how I learned a lot of things in my life, was the hard way, and it humbled me in so many ways. It humbled me in a lot of ways, and I 100% can admit that I've been humbled even in recent, been humbled in many of ways about how I've gone about things in my past because of my arrogance and my wrongful pride. So all in all, I really want to say as I close this out is that don't let arrogance or pride keep you from building relationships with people, and don't allow it to isolate you, because it will do just that. It will set you aside on your own private island of just you and your pride and your arrogance, and it's just going to be y'all three. And let me tell you, them conversations between you, your pride, and your arrogance are some terrible conversations. I'm speaking from experience. And it doesn't help you out in the long run, because your pride and your arrogance speaking to you is never going to get you anywhere. And so don't allow it to isolate you. Don't allow it to cut off friendships from people who are actually good in your life and can help you and want to be there for you. Don't let it keep gaining ground on you. The hardest people I've worked with were those who were self-absorbed, prideful, and arrogant. And it's truly contagious and a cancer to any organization, any system, any network, any friendship, any relationship. It is a cancer to that, because it terrorizes the very fabric, and it tears the very fabric of cohesiveness. It rips it apart, and it doesn't rebuild it at all until that arrogance and that pride has been brought low. And so if you're struggling with pride, if you're struggling with arrogance, I submit to you today that it may be time for you to look at the man in the mirror. And if you don't know it and somebody has brought it up to you about pride and arrogance, I submit to you again that it might be time to look at the man in the mirror. Once again, that was the topic of the day of today's podcast, dealing with pride and arrogance. As always, it's always great to bring these topics to you guys. Topics that, once again, are tough conversations that a lot of us don't even think about having, don't even think about being major issues in our life. But there are major issues in our life. They are issues that when we leave them untouched, we stick ourselves in a box and isolate ourselves from having friendships, having relationships, building bonds with people. And we end up lacking in the end, because while everybody's out building these great relationships, we're stuck in this box feeling like all I need is me. I'm the one who matters. Or I don't matter enough to be up, up here with the rest of these people. Like, got to get that in check. So if you enjoyed this episode, let me know what you think about this episode concerning Pride and Arrogance at Tough Talk _PDT on Instagram, or you can leave a comment on the YouTube page and let me know what you think about this episode. Don't forget to like and share, and let your family and friends know that you are down with Tough Conversations podcast. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you all for the Tough Conversations listeners for tuning in, and thank you for supporting the channel. It means a great deal to me, and I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all. And I will see y'all again on another episode of Tough Conversations podcast. But until then, as always, God bless, peace, love, and happiness to you all, and you and yours. And we is out of here.